Hey there, this is Taylor Ellwood, and welcome to the Indie Author Business Success channel. If you're new to this channel, go ahead and click subscribe. If you're somebody who's already and click the notification bell. And if you're somebody who's been on here before, go ahead and like and make some comments. So it's been a while actually since I've been on this channel, and the reason why is just purely because I ended up getting a divorce. I had to shut down the indie author business site, and I shut down I shut down this channel for a while as well because I just needed to focus on getting through my divorce. It was a tough time, and I'm just sharing that with you guys in transparency because I just want you to know where I've been. Let's actually get focused on the topic at hand, which is what is involved in a book launch. So one of the things you're going to note if you look in the show notes here is that there is a link to a free book, which is the Indie Author Book Launch Success Formula book. And this is it's a short and sweet ebook that kind of walks you through my formula for book launches. One of the things that I've discovered with doing the whole self-publishing thing is that the biggest component of your success boils down to how you go about getting sales and how you do it in a way that is authentic and in a place from integrity and is ethical, but nonetheless that lets people know that like you're for real. And I think a lot of times, especially for people who are just starting out, the tendency is, they write the book. Then they go on to Amazon and whatever other sites, and they fill out the descriptions and all the other information. And then they push the button, and the book is launched. And they might go and tell their friends and family about it, and they get a few sales that trickle in. And that's a natural thing, especially when you're starting out, because you don't know what you don't know about book launching, and you don't know what you don't know about self-publishing. But it's really important to recognize how limiting that particular model of book launching really is. I actually started in the business of writing and publishing back in 2003. And I worked for a small press, so I learned all the ups and downs and ins and outs of traditional publishing. I worked until like 2008 for this small publisher. And then I left. And I left because I had basically discovered that I could make more money being a self-published writer than I would ever make working, getting my books published through a small press or even a larger press. And how I learned this is that I went and I published 2 books in the summer of 2018 as a test. And each book did really well. Now, granted, I had a pre-established market. If I had just launched those books without a market, I probably wouldn't have seen the results that I saw. But because I had that market and I had a following, I was actually able to make a lot of money comparatively compared to what I was getting royalty-wise anyway. So I took all the rights back to my books and I relaunched them. And, I started to build and continuing to build a foundation with the books that I write, even to this day. I've now written over 40 books. And from 2018 to now, 2021, one of the things that I've been involved in doing is really figuring out like what makes a successful book launch. And I've done everything. I've done everything up to, I got everything set up and I pushed the button and told people that the book was launched. And I did okay. That was what happened with the first 2 books that I launched on my own. I did okay. I sold some books. I've done that, with those books, and I've been pretty happy with the results. But then, as time went on, I kind of realized that like, especially when I started doing fiction, I realized I needed to have better strategies in place. Because with fiction, I had no real audience there. I had a few people from my other market that were interested in reading what I was writing fiction-wise. But it was basically the friends and family special of launching books. So what I discovered is that the most important thing you need to have with a book launch is you need to have a plan. You need to have a book launching plan. And you can think of a book launching plan as similar to basically a business plan, because it kind of is. It's a business plan for your book. You've written this book. You've put all this effort in. You've created something amazing. And what you want to be able to do is you want to share it with other people and launch it and sell it and everything else. But how are you going to do that without really understanding or knowing what's involved with your book launch? And the answer is you won't. If you don't have a plan, you're not going to really sell books. So how do you go about creating that plan? Well, the first and obvious thing is pull out some pen and paper, right? But you need more than just that. You need to have an understanding of what's involved, and that takes some trial and error and experimentation. Now, the book launch success formula that I'm sharing can help you cut some of that out of the equation. So I do recommend checking that out. But I say this as somebody who again, I'm working on my. I don't know. I actually have a few different books I'm working on, but I'm writing my Zombie Apocalypse Militia book right now, which is my latest fiction book. And I've got a nonfiction journal that I'm releasing as well. And I would say with each of those books, I'm still going to be doing some different things, and I'm still going to be learning what works and what doesn't work when it comes to my book launches. So I share that with you because your book launches are not set in stone, so to speak. There are tried and true things you can do, okay? But you're always going to be experimenting to some degree. And part of that is because the industry changes, right? There's always going to be changes to the industry. There's going to be certain things that you can do that are tried and true, like picking out your keywords, picking out your categories, coming up with a good cover and a good blurb. Those are things that are tried and true. They're not going to change more than likely. But there are other things that are going to change. Like, will Facebook ads be as relevant in the future? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not making a prediction on that, by the way, so don't read it as that. I'm just using it as an example, where that may or may not be as relevant. Will I use promo sites for nonfiction? More than likely not, unless there's a promo site for nonfiction. But that, again, that could change. My point being that you can never assume, even with the tried and true, you can never absolutely assume that it's always going to be tried and true. You still have to continually test and examine and carefully consider, what are you trying to do with your book launches? And so what I find is that when you create a plan, it really starts to help you get clear on what you're going to do to actually make that book successful. And again, not every writer does this from what I can tell. And there are strategies and tactics that you're going to learn along the way. Some of what I'm going to share with you can help you with that. And we're going to explore that. But ultimately, in the end, you're still going to have to learn what works for you. And this is going to be crucial for helping you really move forward in a way that makes sense for your genre. I don't have all the answers. No one else out there does either. I say that because there are things that are going to work for some authors that don't work for other authors, and it's not indicative of anything about you. It's really more indicative of your market, of the books, and also what you're comfortable learning and where you excel. I want to be very clear. Make no mistake. Being an indie author isn't just about writing books. It is about the business of book selling. You have to be comfortable with selling books. And if you're someone who doesn't want to sell books, then I would just tell you, write, but don't publish then. Because you're going to be disappointed when you realize how much marketing you have to do. If, on the other hand, you're someone who likes to publish books, my suggestion is become enthusiastic about the marketing. You may not exactly like it, but you're going to have to learn how to do it. and make it part of your wheelhouse. It's really crucial and important. And a lot of times what I find with authors is that they get caught up in the romanticism of writing books. Like, ooh, I'm writing a book. How romantic. And it is kind of romantic in a way. But the truth is, like, if you want that book to sell, you need to move beyond the romanticism and into the reality. And I'm not going to say that book launching alone is going to be what makes you successful, but book launching plays a significant role. So in the coming months, I'm going to share some videos about this thing, and of course, and for sake of transparency, I'm just going to mention that I am in the process of creating a class on this. So of course, I'm at some point going to be adverting that class. You guys should be aware of that. But in the meantime, I'm just happy to be relaunching this site. And what I would just say to you is, if you're an indie author and you're watching this, subscribe to my newsletter. Get the indie author business. The book launching success formula book, and subscribe to my thing, because I'm going to have good tips and information in my newsletter. I'll be sharing blog articles, and most of all, I just want to help you guys succeed. And I'll be transparent with you. Like, I'm in that process too. I actually got to the point where I emancipated myself from my job, and I got the divorce. Now I'm back working for somebody else again, and I'm redoing that whole process, and I'm okay with that. I'm going to be sharing videos not just on book launches. I'm going to be talking about other aspects of the business of being an independent author. So, check it out. All right. So thank you guys for watching, and feel free to comment. And otherwise, I look forward to connecting with you more.